and welcome to Simply Made by Erin. Today we are working on this beautiful spike stitch blanket. It uses this really pretty spike stitch to create these pretty stripes. I use 4 different colors to create this look. The pattern comes in a baby and throw size. Today we're just going to be doing a small swatch so that I could fit it on the screen. It's a really easy stitch count and a lot of repeats. And of course you can add this cute little tag detail if you want. I'll link that below. And all you need is a super bulky yarn. So I use Lion Brand Re-Spun Thick and Quick. It's a recycled polyester yarn. It's actually really soft. And if you're familiar with Wool-Ease Thick and Quick, it's similar, but it's not quite as dense. It's a little bit thinner and less dense, but it is still considered a size 6 yarn. It just won't be as heavy as if you worked up with the Wool-Ease Thick and Quick. So I like it a little bit better for a blanket. This is the color Hazelwood. I'm going to put on the screen the exact yardage and colors I use for each size so you have that exact combination. And then besides the yarn, all you need is a crochet hook. I use a 9mm M hook, and then a tapestry needle to weave your ends in, a pair of scissors, and then a flexible measuring tape to check your gauge. So I'm going to get set up and we're going to start working on the swatch, and I'll give you the basics how to create a really beautiful blanket. Okay, so I am starting out with color A, the main color. This will be the larger sections of the blanket, not the individual spike stitch stripes. So the pattern is worked in multiples of 2. So you can adjust the size, the width of your blanket by chaining in multiples of 2. For my pattern specifically, the baby size, we chain 62, and for the throw size, we chain 92. For this demo, I'm going to chain 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have my 20 chains, and we are going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. If you're familiar with doing a foundation half double crochet, you can definitely switch to a foundation half double crochet. So we just need to find the second chain from the hook. The chain that's on your hook never counts. So this would be the first and this would be the second. And then you want to turn your work and find that back hump. So normally you'd chain, or you'd half double crochet here, but we're going to work in the back hump. It just finishes that foundation chain off a little bit better. So there's 1 chain, 2 chains, turn, and see the little humps right here, right here, right here. That's where we're going to work the half double crochets. So 1, 2, turn, half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook under that back hump. It's a little harder to get under the back humps, but you'll get used to it. And then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That counts as the first half double crochet. You just repeat that all the way across. Again, yarn over, insert your hook under that back hump, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, you'll have a total of 19 stitches when you're done. If you're working on the baby blanket, you'll have 61 stitches, 91 stitches for the throw size. Okay, so I finished my foundation row. I have 19 stitches total, and we are going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're just going to work a half double crochet all the way across for rows 2 through 8, and that's for both sizes. So we're going to work right into that first stitch, the same stitch that we chain 1 out of. So again, half double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 3. Then just repeat that all the way across until you have 8 total rows complete. You'll chain 1 and turn at the end of each row. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll start our first color change. I finished row 8. This is what it's looking like. I have one last stitch on row 8. I want to show you how we join the new color. So I forgot to mention row 1. So all the odd rows of the pattern will be the right side and all the even numbers will be the wrong side. That matters at the end when we do the border. Okay, so one more half double crochet in that last stitch. Okay, and before you do the last yarn over, we're just going to join that new yarn color. So just put the new yarn, I just loop it on my hook and then pull it through. Okay, and then you can go ahead and fasten off that tail. We're not carrying any of the yarns over, so every time you do a color change, go ahead and cut your tail, and you can weave it in as you go or at the end, whatever you prefer. Okay, so now we're going to start the spike stitch. So let me zoom in a little. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. So this is the double crochet spike stitch. So the first stitch is just a traditional double crochet. So you yarn over, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Okay, the next one is a spike double crochet. So it's the same as a double crochet, but instead of working in the top of your stitches like you normally would here, you're working in a row or rows below. For this pattern, we're working just one row below. So instead of right here, we're going to be working right here. So this is the second stitch, and it is the row, one row below the previous row. So right here, if you can see it. So you do an elongated double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, and then when you pull up the loop, you elongate it so that it doesn't get stuck down here. You just elongate it a little bit and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, just like you would a regular double crochet. Okay, and then the next stitch, just a regular double crochet. So basically we just alternate double, spike stitch double, double all the way across, and you'll end with a double in the very last stitch. So let me show you a few more. Okay, so we did our standard double, now a spike stitch. So instead of the 2 loops here, right there, we're gonna go the row below. So basically find the post of that stitch. So this was the post of the half double crochet. That's the top of that half double crochet. And we're putting the spike in that same spot that the post is in, basically, if that makes sense. So right there. Okay, so again, it's just a traditional double crochet and you just elongate it before you finish that stitch. Okay, and then just a double crochet. Okay, and then let's do one more spike. So again, here's the top of the stitch. We're gonna go right here underneath. Okay, so go ahead and continue that all the way across, and I'll meet you here and we'll do the next row, which is the same color. Okay, I'm at the end. We have 2 stitches left. Don't forget that last stitch. So we're going to do a spike. Okay, and then double crochet in that last stitch. Okay, so that was row 9, and that's the right side of our project. So the spike stitch rows is when you work a spike stitch row, the right side of the work will be facing you. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to repeat row 2, which is a half double crochet all the way across. So you just go all the way across, half double crochet, just like we did in the first 8 rows. So I'm going to finish that, and at the end we're going to switch colors again. So you'll need your 3rd color at the end of row 10. Okay, row 10 is done. We have 1 last stitch, half double crochet, and then on that last yarn over we're going to join the new color. So color number 3, or color C, you just loop it on your hook like that and then pull it through all 3 loops, and then you go ahead and cut that 2nd color. Okay, and then we're just going to do a repeat of the spike stitch and then that row of half double crochet. So we're on color C, row 11. So we're going to chain 1 and then turn, and then we're going to do that spike stitch row again. So repeat row 9, you're on the right side of your work again. So double crochet in that first stitch, and then a spike double crochet. So I think you might be able to see the spike placement a little better now that I'm switching colors. So normally you'd put the next double crochet here, but we're going 1 row below. So like I said, that's the top of the stitch. Follow where the post of the half double crochet from the previous row is, which is right here, and you put it in that same stitch that half double crochet from the previous row is in. So it's this little hole right here, and you'll notice it's always going to be kind of the top of where the spike stitch is and off to the right a little bit. So here's our spike stitch. It's kind of the top of that and off to the right just a hair. That's how you know your placement's right. So again, that elongated double crochet, and then just repeat that all the way across. So we're doing double crochet, spike, double crochet, spike, and then we're always going to end with a double crochet in the last stitch. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that all the way across, and then row 12, you just repeat row 2 again. It's just at the end of the row, you chain 1 and turn, and then you just half double crochet all the way across, just like we did these 2 rows. Okay, so I'm at the last stitch of row 12, and we're going to do the half double crochet, and then again before that last yarn over, you join the new color and just pull that loop through. Fasten off that 2nd color, and then it's another repeat of the spike stitch and then the half double crochet row. So chain 1 and turn, okay, and then double crochet in the first stitch, okay, and again this is the top of your stitch. You're gonna go right here. So again, here's the spike stitch. It's kind of off to the right of that spike stitch. Just follow that post down right there. Okay, and so we're just going to do that all the way across, double crochet, spike double crochet all the way across, ending with a double crochet, and then the next row, which would be row 14, you just repeat row 2, which is the half double crochet all the way across. So don't forget to chain 1 and turn at the end of each row. Okay, so we finished all 3 colors in the spike stitch. Now we're going back to color A, the main color, and it will have that big thick stripe up here. So we are going to get our main color again, and we're going to pull through on that last stitch, and then go ahead and fasten off that last color. Okay, so it's another repeat, you guys. This pattern's so easy. Let me just remind you, if you did the baby size, you should have 61 stitches across. And if you did the throw size, you should have 91 stitches. Every single row has the exact same stitch count all the way throughout. My swatch, I ended up doing a foundation chain of 20, so I have 19 stitches. Okay, so we're gonna chain 1 and turn. And then, actually we're gonna do another row of spike stitches in the cream color before we start this thick band of half double crochet. So row 15, we repeat row 9. So double crochet in the first stitch, spike double crochet in the next. Okay, repeat that all the way across, alternating between double crochet, spike double crochet. Make sure you end on a double crochet. Then I'll meet you back here and we'll start that next section. Okay, so I did the spike row, chain 1, turn. Now rows 16 through 22, 7 more rows, we're just doing half double crochet. So half double crochet all the way across, chain 1 and turn at the end of each row, and do that a total of 7 rows. I'll meet you when I'm finished and we'll get the border done. Okay, so I finished that last row, which was row 22. So now this is kind of what it looks like. So you have the big block of one color, the spike section that has 3 different colors, and then another block of color. So basically the rest of the pattern is just a repeat. So you repeat rows 9, which 9 is starting with this pinkish color, through 22, which is all the way up here. So basically you repeat the spikes and then the half double crochets. So rows 9 through 22, a total of 4 times if you're working on the baby blanket, and 5 times if you're working on the throw blanket. So for the baby blanket, you'll have 78 rows total. So going forward, you'll be doing rows 23 through 78 for a baby blanket. If you're working on the throw blanket, it'll be rows 23 through 92. So again, you just repeat this section and this section 4 times for the baby blanket, 5 times for the throw blanket. It's as simple as that. Just make sure to chain 1 and turn at the end of each row. And then basically you're ready for the border. So the last row that you work in your main color A will be the wrong side facing you. So make sure you turn your work. You want the right side of the blanket facing you before you start the border. And then chain 1. Okay, and then we're gonna do a border all the way across the entire perimeter. So basically we're doing a herringbone half double crochet. So a herringbone half double crochet around the entire perimeter, and we do 3 of them in each corner. So chain 1, find that first stitch. So a herringbone half double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, then you pull through the first loop on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. Just like that. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull that loop through that loop next to your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Actually, let me go back. The corner, you're supposed to put a 3 in. So the first one that you work actually has 3 herringbone half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through that loop next to your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and then one more in that same. Okay, if you have trouble getting your hook into the ends, you can go down a hook size. I'm gonna do a few more across the top, and then when we get to the corner, I'll show you how we do this corner and along the row ends. Okay, so I worked across the top and I'm at the corner, so I'm gonna do the 3 herringbone half double crochet in that corner. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now we're across the edge where we have half double crochet rows and then double crochet row ends. So my kind of rule of thumb is on the half double crochet row ends, I usually do 1 herringbone half double crochet, and then on the longer ends where there's a double crochet, I usually do 2 herringbone half double crochets, but you can adjust that as needed. Basically, you want a nice even line. If it starts curling, you have too many stitches in there and you need to decrease the amount. If it's puckering up, you don't have enough. You want it to lay nice and flat. So when I'm working in the row ends, I kind of try to work, actually I'm going to switch to the smaller hook. The row ends is where you might need that smaller hook. So I try to work under just one little loop. Like instead of finding a hole, like instead of working in this entire hole right there, I try to go under just one loop, and it makes the border look a lot nicer, especially when you get to the color change. So I'll show you that in a minute. So yarn over, I'm gonna go under this loop right here. It's a little tedious on the ends, and that's why the smaller hook helps. Yarn over, pull up a loop, pull your hook through that loop next to you, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that was one row end that I worked in. So then I'm gonna go to this next one. I'm gonna go into this loop right here. Okay, and then same thing, I'm probably gonna go into this loop. You can kind of just find the loop that works best for you, but I do think it's best if you go under just one loop. Let me start that again. Okay, so do that all the way across your color A section. When we get over here, I'll show you how I do kind of this section. Okay, so we're to the first color change, which this one is a half double crochet row N. So I'm just gonna find this loop right there, push my hook under it, complete that herringbone half double crochet. And then we have that spike stitch row. So this is a double crochet. So I'm gonna fit 2 in there. So about right here. And then about right there. Okay. And again, if you need to add or subtract one, kind of do what works for you. But this is what seems to work for me. So this is what the front of it looks like, and then this is what the back of it looks like. So I don't know if you've worked a border on other blankets or seen other blankets, but if you work under these kind of big gaps with your border instead of one loop, when you get to these color changes, instead of just seeing a little bit of that color peeking through right there, it's very noticeable and it doesn't look as pretty on the back side. So that's why I take my time to work under just one loop. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this side. Again, when you get to the corner, 3 herringbone half double crochets, then just work along the foundation chain. When you work along the foundation chain, it's gonna be very similar to working into your last row over here. And then I forgot to mention, it's probably best if you weave these ends first before you, weave the ends in first before you start the border. I'm gonna keep mine out just because this is just a swatch and I wanna use this yarn for something later. So then herringbone half double crochet along the foundation. When you get to this other corner, make sure you do 3 in the corner. And then when you work along the last row end, do it exactly like we did here. Try to fit about 1 herringbone half double crochet in the row ends of your half double crochet rows, and then 2 on the rows that have the double crochet. And then I'll meet you here at the end and I'll show you how we finish off. All right, I finished up the entire border. Here is what it looks like. Let me show you the back side. Looks really nice and neat also. So now we're just ready to fasten off, and I do an invisible join. So let me just show you that really fast. So after you complete the last herringbone half double crochet, just cut your yarn and leave a tail long enough to weave your ends in. And then we're gonna find the first herringbone half double crochet that we started on the border. You take your needle going under both loops from the front to back, just pull your thread or your yarn, and then find the last stitch of the round. I guess it is the round because it's a border. The last stitch of the border, and you go under the back loop only. So this would be front, this is back. So from front to back, pull it through, and it creates that faux loop right here. And just kind of make it about the same size as the other loops. And then you just weave your ends in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish that later. Actually, I'm not weaving my ends in because this is just a sample swatch for you guys. But that's what the corner looks like. I didn't find that I needed to block my project, but if you need to do a light steam block, that's fine. Mine came out pretty even. This yarn's kind of stretchy, so you can kind of stretch it in place, but there you have it. The project is done. You can add one of those cute little screw-on tags in the corner with a flower or heart, or one that says handmade and your logo or name on it. And this works up in no time with that super bulky yarn, and it's perfect for fall. Not too heavy, but definitely warm. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. And like always, the pattern is free on the blog, which will be linked in the caption. Have a good day.